Hey guys, welcome back to part 3 of this little mini series of the introduction of music theory on the guitar. If you're enjoying the series and if you found it helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more lesson content. So far we've covered intervals in the first video and understanding the names to describe the distance between two notes. Then in the second video, we've used those intervals to learn the modes of the major scale, to be able to move around the fretboard in the same key, and also how to use modes individually for their own unique color and flavor that they provide. So in this video, we're going to learn how chords are directly related to your modes and understanding them so that you can build your own chord progressions or understand the ones that you may already know. So all of our major and minor chords are actually built with a very simple construction. You're actually just using the first, third, and fifth note of the scale. So if I take my C major scale that we started with, I play the first note of the scale, which is C, the third note, which is E, and the fifth note, which is G. So that's what gets you the triad, it's called, the three notes that build the major chord derived from that scale. So again, it's C, E, and G. So as long as I'm playing those three notes in any order, in anywhere on the fretboard, as long as it's C, E, and G, doesn't matter how you play it, as long as it's those three notes, that builds a C major chord. Now you may be thinking the C chord that I know in open position, I'm playing 5 notes. So how does that work? You're really just repeating some of the notes. So you're playing C, E, G, C, E. So you're not changing any of the notes from the scale, you're just repeating some of them to get a fuller sound. As soon as you change one of the notes, that's where you get a different chord, and it would be called something different. So our major chord is built from the 1, 3, 5. To change that into a minor chord, very simple, it just has a flat third. So the 1 stays the same, the third is 1 fret lower, a minor third, and then the fifth stays the same as before. So instead of C, E, G, you have C, E flat, G. And again, any way that you play those notes gets you a C minor chord. And our last 3-part chord, which isn't as common as a major and minor chord, but still very valid within the key, is our diminished chord. So that would be a 1, flat third, and a flat fifth. And you can hear it has a more dissonant kind of sound to it. So how we can figure out which chords belong within a key is to look at the notes that are in our modes to determine what type of chord would match up with the mode. So if we take a look at the major scale, where there's no notes changed, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We take the first note, the third note, and the fifth, which builds a major triad. So it's a major chord that goes with the major scale. Now, if we move up to our second mode, Dorian, as we learned in the last video, Dorian has a flat third and a flat 7 in relation to the major scale. So now since we have a flat third in the mode and the fifth is staying the same, that triad builds a minor triad. So for Dorian, it would be a minor chord that matches up with that. So another way to describe that is the chord that matches up with the second note of the scale is a minor chord. So you would say that the 2 chord in the key of C is minor, or D minor in this case. If we move up to Phrygian, which again has a lot of flats, flat 2, flat 3, flat 6, flat 7. Now again, when we're trying to figure out the chord, we're really only concerned with the first, third, and fifth. So it has a 1, a flat third, and a fifth, perfect fifth. So it's a minor chord that matches up with Phrygian. So the 3 chord in the key of C, the chord that matches up with the third note, would be E minor. So the great thing with the order of chords is it doesn't change. We've learned so far that the 2 chord is minor and the 3 chord is minor. So within a major key, that doesn't change. If you move to a different key, say you're in the key of G, and then the second note of G is A, you know that's going to be a minor. It's going to be an A minor chord, and then a B minor. So once you've learned the order, it doesn't change, and you can know what type of chord belongs with each note of the scale. So continuing up, if we start from F with our fourth mode, which is Lydian, Lydian has a sharp fourth. Now that doesn't affect our triad. This is where a sharp fourth and a flat fifth are two different things. Even though they're the same note, the sharp fourth doesn't affect the chord. So looking at Lydian, we have a 1, a 3, and a 5. So it's just a major chord that goes with Lydian. It would be F major. It would be the 4 chord in the key of C. If we move up to Mixed Lydian, our fifth mode, Mixed Lydian has a flat 7. Again, that doesn't affect the triad. So it would just be a 1, 3, 5. So the 5 chord would also be major. It'd be G major in this key. Moving up to the sixth mode, which is Aeolian, or our minor scale, it has a flat third, flat 6, flat 7. So the flat third affects the triad, which gives us a minor chord having 1, flat 3, and 5. Running out of frets again. And then our last mode, which again, I'm going to move down an octave just because I'm running out of frets here. Locrian has a flat 2, flat 3, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7. So it has a flat 3 and a flat 5. So that's actually where we get our diminished chord. We have a 1, flat third, and flat 5. Play those notes together, you get your diminished chord. So the seventh chord in the key of C would be a B diminished chord. So now if I play them in order, I'm going to be playing what's called the diatonic chords in the key of C, the chords that belong within the key of C. So it would be C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and then you would be back to C major. So now that we've learned all our simple 3-part diatonic chords in the key of C, you can use that to better understand how chord progressions are described or communicated between musicians. For example, if someone says I'm in the key of C and I'm playing a 2-5-1 progression, what that means is I'm starting with the chord that matches up with the second note of the scale, which in this case is D, and our 2 chord, as we learned, was a minor, so it'd be D minor. And again, it doesn't matter how you play the D minor. You can play it here, you can play it as a bar chord higher up, you can play it as an open chord. It doesn't matter how you play it, as long as it's some form of D minor, it's considered your 2 chord in the key of C. So then our 5 chord would be the one that matches up with Mixed Lydian, and in the key of C, that would be on a G note. The 5th note of C is G. And we learned that the Mixed Lydian mode would be a major chord, so it'd be G major. And again, I can play it there, I can play it there, I can play it open. As long as it's a G chord, it's our 5 chord of C. And then our 1 chord, simple one, C major chord, as we learned earlier. So a 2-5-1 in the key of C would be D minor, G major, C major. And again, I can play them any way. That is still a 2-5-1 in the key of C. Now to quickly take a look at 4-part chords to make our chords a little bit more interesting and a little more colorful, that's where you would still use your triad, the 1-3-5, whether it's major, minor, diminished, but now you would be adding in the 7th note of the scale. So if I take C major, so far we've used the triad, the 1-3-5. Now we're going to add in the 7th note, which is a B. So if I play all 4 of those notes together at the same time, that builds a major 7 chord. A little more colorful, a little bit nicer than our simple major chord. So it's a really good exercise to now go through all the diatonic chords in the key of C and try to figure out for yourself what type of 4-part chord would match up with each mode. The great benefit to learning chords this way is instead of just having to memorize all the different shapes for all different types of chords, if you understand the construction of the chord, then you can actually put it together yourself somewhere on the fretboard that works for you. As an example, if you have a D chord, at first you have to figure out the order of your intervals that you're playing. Now in this case, it would be 1, 5, 1, 3. But now I can start to manipulate that chord to get any chord that I want for D. So if I want to get a major 7, I know I have to add in the 7th note of the scale. That's C sharp, so I add that into a D, and it becomes a D major 7. If I flatten the C sharp to a C, that gets me a flat 7, which gets me a dominant 7th chord. If I want to get a minor 7 chord, I know I have to flatten the 3rd, which is the F sharp down here, flatten that down a fret, and I get D minor 7. And if I want to play the half diminished or minor 7 flat 5, that it can also be called, I would have to flatten the 5th in that chord, and that would get me my D minor 7 flat 5. So it's a great way to understand the construction of chords and how they work in relation to the key and the modes that we learned. So now if you piece together everything that we've learned in this mini-series, you can work your way around the fretboard within a key using your different modes. You have a better understanding of the chords that belong within the key and how they would be communicated. And of course, most importantly, you can use all this information to create your own music and build your musical vocabulary. So I hope this has been helpful. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, subscribe for more lesson content. Thanks guys, and keep up the practice.